Hey, it's Dawn here from Enzo's. Thought I would answer a couple questions. I get these questions all the time, so I figured it's about time to answer these questions. Okay, today's question, which I've been seeing all over the internet, is it breed or is it how you raise them? Lots of you want to get a new dog, and maybe you're out there researching dogs. There's so many breeds right now. So I figured I'd pick a breed and we'll talk about that breed. And this is a breed I have experience with in my own personal world and through training other people's dogs. But I kind of thought I'd share my story with you and you could decide for yourself. And it may still be a gray area. If I was going to simplify this, I would say it's breed first. Then it's, breed genetics first. It's that they're a dog, it's that they're the breed of the dog, the genetics of a dog, and also mixed in of how good a leader you are for that dog. And I don't mean like you're a bad leader. I mean, it's like maybe I should say what kind of leader you are, right? Just so you know, I trained my first dog in 1991. Yes, I'm basically a dinosaur. Okay, well, let's get that out of the way. In 1991, for some of you who don't know, 1991, there was no internet. I know, go figure. So, but if you ask 100 people this question, you'll probably get 100 different variations of an answer for this question. Is it breed or is it how you raise them? Again, I believe it's both, but we got to start with breed. So we're going to use the breed just for instance of a Cane Corso. Okay, we're starting with that breed because A, I have experience with that breed, and B, I have experience with that breed. So, a Cane, yes, somebody's trying to come in behind me. Hopefully they don't. So the dictionary definition, if you looked it up in the dictionary definition, and I'm reading off, where's the phone? I'm reading off my little phone here. Dictionary definition of a Cane is, and just so you know, Cane Corso means guardian. It literally translates into guardian. That's the word it means. So do look at that. There's a reason they're giving you these cues. Then the definition is a Cane Corso is a large athletic breed of Mastiff developed in Italy. We all know what happens when a dog comes to the United States. We Americans want to make it bigger, better, badder, softer, shorter, whatever it is, we want to make it different. So that's what we've done. So I am talking about the American Cane Corso that I have that goes along with that. Now, if you ever go to Europe, they are a little bit different over there because they're bred differently over there. So, yeah. Anyway, here, Guardian, most people who breed them do breed them for that fact, for the fact that they're big and bad and they like to guard things. So, that's it. It's our job to show them what is appropriate to guard and what's not appropriate to guard. Side note, a few years ago when after Lola had passed, I was looking for another dog. This was probably... Well, I got Kiwi 3 years ago, so this was 3 years ago, right before the pandemic, and I came across a Mastiff breeder. I can't remember the kind of Mastiff it was, but a Mastiff breeder. And it was one of the shorter, stockier Mastiffs. We've got a couple on our program. Gosh dang it that I can't remember what it was. Was it a Bull Mastiff? Might have been a Bull Mastiff. Anyway, local breeder. She was a friend or an acquaintance friend of one of my trainers at the time. And I really respect that trainer. I still respect her. And she sent me to her. She said, hey, she's got this like 8 or 9 month old Mastiff. You might look into it. And the funniest thing about it, I called her and I talked to her. Now I might have to explain that I did have like a shot or two of tequila before I called her because I think we were doing, I don't know what we were doing. It's game night or something. And, but I did call this breeder and I was interested in her puppy that she had. Well, she was a teenager. She was like 8 or 9 months. I think she had been returned. Don't exactly remember the story, but the one thing the breeder said to me was, now if you get this dog, you're not allowed to use an e-collar on this dog until it's over a year old. Anyway, long story short, I did not get the dog, and I had a couple more shots of tequila after that because I was like, there are still breeders out there telling people that. Anyway, 11, 12 years ago, I get this Cane. Gia came to me via what I call a sideline breeder. Sideline breeders to me are those people who have 2 seemingly good dogs. They breed them because they think it would be fun. They think it would be fun to have a litter of dogs, and then then they realize how hard true breeding really is. You good breeders, props to you. The rest of you can head out the door. But this sideline breeder, he called us at 7 weeks old and was like, you got to take the dog today or I'm going to give it away to somebody else. So basically we took the dog. When I say it was a big mistake, it was a huge mistake. Had I been in a good state of mind, Enzo had just passed a few months prior. Had I been in a good state of mind, we never would have gotten this dog. She's with me until the day she passes, and I love her, but I never would have gotten her had I known what I known or had I done any research on the breed on my own, which I didn't. So again, it says large athletic bred Mastiff developed in Italy. So we're going to look at large. It's a large dog. If you don't have space for a large dog, move on. Don't get a Mastiff or a Cane Mastiff. And if you do not own a home, don't get a large breed dogs, because anymore rentals are really hard to get, you guys. If you have a large breed dog, you might not get a rental for it. And then what? Then you're going to give the dog up? Is that your commitment? Don't get a dog. So then it says athletic. Are you an athletic person? Do you want to go every day and physically do something with your dog? Me personally, I'm a very athletic person, but I don't want to have to always put my dog and go do things with them. I like mental games with my dogs, so I have, and I'm very active more than most, but I don't always want to do things. So I wouldn't have gotten that dog for that reason. And athletic doesn't mean we're going to go on a walk around the neighborhood 2 or 3 or 10 times a day. That's not what it means. Think of all the human athletes they don't just go on a walk around the neighborhood. They need physical stimulation that brings their brain into action, that they have to actually do something, that they're learning something. Are you that person? Do you want to do that? If not, don't get this breed. Like, do your homework. That's what I'm saying. It's out there for you for the breed. And now with the internet, it's very easy. If you're kind of a couch potato, or like me, I know I like my downtime. My dogs are slugs now. My German Shepherds are 11 and 12. Gia, my Mastiff, is 11. Now she's pretty lazy, I would say, for the most part. But she still likes to go every place with us. So when we brought her into the home, I was in a bad space. Enzo had passed. I was in a pretty good depression. So I didn't have a lot to do with her. And then she just destroyed everything in the house. She destroyed everything. She would rip holes in the linoleum. If we weren't watching her for 2 minutes, she would just tear holes in the linoleum. We had holes all over. And it was a rental house, you guys. It was a rental house. Oy vey. I slick back and think of all the mistakes I made because I didn't do my homework. And again, this was before I was training dogs of this caliber. So I really didn't know anything about saying no to your dog. My dogs, up until that point, were all just kind of easy dogs. They just kind of liked everybody and did what I needed them to do. Human-wise, they did what I needed them to do, right? They were just pets. They were just there. Enzo, probably one of the best dogs I've ever had, but not great on a leash. Oh my gosh, he was horrible on a leash. But back then, I did the treat thing. Always treat. So I did take Gia to the leading, one of the 3. There are 3 really leading behavioralists in Portland. I took her to one of them because he happened to be in my neighborhood, and I knew him and I knew his wife, and they were lovely people, and I really, really like them. But we went into one of his classes with Gia, who had already growled at her first person at 7 weeks, and he knew this. He had been to my house before to help me with some things with my other 2 dogs, with Enzo, because Enzo used to jump on the door and do things like that. So he helped me but he never really, we never really got anywhere with his lessons. But with Gia, went to his classes. I did. I was the only one in the family who committed and went to the classes. Of course, nobody else did. My kids were little at that time, but my partner didn't. And I went to the classes, and I was horrified in the classes. I cried all class. I walked into class crying because she would lunge and growl at everyone, and by this time she was maybe 4 or 5 months old, and I was so embarrassed by her. Have we had that feeling? If you've never had that feeling, so embarrassed by her. It was so sad. I was so sad, and I would cry. I would have to do so many things just to get myself to walk into class. So I went to class, and I committed. I was always committed to her. And basically, when she lunged at people, he, first week of class, made this little gated barrier for her. And we stood behind that barrier, and everybody in the class was doing whatever he was teaching them, and I was doing it behind the barrier. And then people would walk by the barrier and throw in a treat. So basically what would happen is Gia would growl. They would walk by the barrier. She would growl or lunge at them. And I would have her on a leash, and the leash was always tight. She was always at the end of the leash growling and lunging. And she would growl and lunge at them, and then they would grab a treat, and as soon as she quit growling or lunging, they would throw the treat in. She wouldn't eat it out of their hand. She wouldn't take it from them. We'd throw it in at her, and then she would eat it, and then the next person would come up, and the next person. Anyway, that went on for 6 weeks, and I was horrified. Fast forward a couple weeks after those classes ended, I ran into a gal from those classes who we met in class, and I ran into her at the Whole Foods Market. And she was like, hey, how's Gia doing? I think about her often. And I instantly, of course, I'm in the grocery store, I start crying, and we're at the salad section. I'm like, eh. And I'm like, she's not good. And she said, well, here's a number. And it was a friend of mine named Jonathan. She goes, here's a number. Check him out. He might be able to help you. And so I got home, got on the phone, called this guy, and we started one-on-one lessons. And he actually showed me how to say no to my dog. Again, I was training dogs. I had a rescue. I was doing all these things, and I couldn't control my dog. Like, I didn't know how to be a proper leader to her because nobody gave me the tools. It's not natural to know how to take care of a dog who's like that. It's not a normal thing. Dogs who are like Gia are tough. They're really tough. And I do think that Gia has bad breeding. Like, I do. It started with her breeding. It's not good breeding. And then it wasn't good. We reinforced the wrong behaviors when she was young. So all around it was bad. But I guess the whole part of this story is that if you're going to do a dog, buy a dog or get a dog from a rescue or whatever you do your research. Because it is about the breed. So know about the breed. At least do the bare minimum and know about the breed, right? Talk to people who have that breed. Talk to trainers who you respect. Do your homework on a breed. Because when you say, is it about the breed or is it about how you raise them? It is both, but it all starts with breed and genetics. So, and I want to say, I have some amazing Cane Corsas at Enzo's here who come all the time, who are really solid dogs because they have really solid owners. And then I have some who come who are great with, they pick and choose their people, and I happen to be glad that I'm one of their people that they pick. So they stay with us, but they can't stay anywhere else. And of course I'm going to open my doors to those dogs. But it's not the same. Right? It's a tough breed of dog, you guys. So do your homework on any breed you get. But I hope this helps. Is it breed or is it how you raise them? You guys are going to have to answer that question. But until next time, love you so much. Dawn from Enzo's. I'll see you soon.